Good evening. So happy to have you join us for Good News on Entertainment tonight. I'm Carley Boyette. A little later in the show, we're going to take a closer look at the movie Cabrini, coming to theaters March 8th. But first tonight, let's enjoy and talk about some good music with a man that wears many hats. Anthony Evans is a #1 Billboard charting gospel artist, producer, performer, and author. And now, on February 23rd, he just released his own full-length studio album. Take a quick listen to one of the songs on the album, Follow.
If they knew all the struggles I face, trying to hold it all together is killing me. So I'm letting go and trusting your way. Your goodness and mercy is following me. Wherever I wander, I know that you'll be. No height can change, no time take away. Your goodness and mercy is following me.
Anthony, congratulations on everything. 2023 was a busy year for you, and I think you're just rocking and rolling and continuing the theme this year.
Thank you so much. I'm very glad to be with you. Thanks for having me back. Good to talk to you again.
New music, congratulations. Let's start there. I just showed a little clip there of Follow, one of your songs. And man, what hits me so much about what I love about you and your personality isn't how honest and open you are. And you're always, this is who you are. And you're always the first one to say, listen, I got problems of my own that I'm working through, that I'm always constantly going to prayer about. And I just love that about you. That's what people want, is people's true hearts.
Yeah, I think it's very it's counterintuitive for to put up facades to me. Like, especially when you're doing Christian music and talking about the power of God in your life, I think it's counterintuitive to pretend like everything's okay. I would, I want to talk about the real stuff, and I want to talk about how God has moved within that. So I appreciate that, and I very much enjoy what I.
Well, and your family in particular, I think it's probably so easy for people to assume that your family has it all figured out, and that everything is just fine. You come from this strong, faith roots where you've got it all at your fingertips. And I think it can be frustrating for people, when they find themselves growing up in the church as well, when that doesn't look like that. And that's why I love music so much, and the type of music that you do too, because we can sing our way through some of that stuff.
Yeah, well, it definitely hasn't looked like that in general, but it especially in the last few years, because a lot of the things our family has gone through have been public. A lot of the loss, a lot of trying to stay true in ministry, but at the same time grieve well, so that you're not faking like you're not injured. It's been a very interesting time nonetheless. But I believe, and our mother challenged us to keep pushing forward in ministry, and I believe it's almost like in honor of her. I keep going, keep moving forward, keep pushing forward, and keep encouraging those around me to not give up, because that's how you ultimately, a lot of times, keep moving, is having somebody running alongside you, like, you got this, but one more mile, you got it. Like that kind of energy is what the new music is about, and what our ministry together as a family is about. We don't ever want to present the whole, like, we got it together, come join us on the got it together. No, that's definitely not what we're trying to do.
Talk about the music and what you're most excited about. And I'd imagine is writing and singing and putting these songs together. I loved, one time I heard Max Lucado say this, and it just it was so true. It was like, sometimes you don't need a whole sermon, to help change your heart and perspective on things.
Absolutely.
Sometimes you just need a good song.
Absolutely. Well, the new album's called Revive, and it's literally a culmination of the work that I had to do on my personal life to kind of come back to life, because I felt like I may be done with ministry, like professional ministry. I was like, this isn't working for me. I can't grieve at this level, go through these things at this level, and then have to show up and sing songs about the faithfulness of God when I am torn up on the inside. It just felt, I remember standing off stage at one point and feeling like I was an actor getting into character to go sing the songs. And I was like, this is not going to work for me. I don't want to feel like an actor getting into a character when when I'm singing about my faith. So I had to slow down. I had to take a break, take a beat. A lot of times in our Christian faith, it's about do more ministry, more time, more. And it's like, no, there is something beautiful about the Sabbath. There is something beautiful about resting. A lot of times when you have surgery or when you are injured, a doctor will say, stay off of that for 6 weeks, stay off of that for 8 weeks. That energy, I had to stay off of certain things as it related to ministry for a while in order to heal. And this album is a culmination of all those things that I did with my spiritual health, obviously, but my emotional health and mental health. And it's put in songs, put in, a lot of fun, a lot of songs, but it's about the truth that when we do what we can, God can do what we cannot and revive whatever that broken, dead situation is in your life. He can revive your heart and bring you back to life in a way you thought that wasn't possible.
Amen.
Yeah.
So will you be singing some of these new songs? Let's get to the big news of your family. When we talked last year, you were in Texas doing the Kingdom Legacy Live event. Now it's coming to Florida. So
Yes.
excited. Obviously, that's where I am located. But do you do some of those songs? Because obviously you lead worship, as well. It's always a mix. Whenever I see you and Priscilla, I've been a couple times now. I feel like I never know what you're going to sing because you can do it all.
It's always a mix. It's always worship driven, obviously. But yes, I'll be doing some of the songs off the new album. And some of them are actually, I always end up remaking songs that have been encouraging to me. So I was out on tour with Maverick City and Kirk Franklin a year and a half ago. And every night I heard Gratitude, I heard Firm Foundation, I heard these songs that kind of were helping me through that struggle. I was on that tour with them, but going through all this chaos in my life. And those songs spoke to me. So I kind of redid those. So there'll be familiar songs that you will know, done a little different, and then some of the new music. But either way, we are there to not perform and entertain. We are there to connect and us worship together. So that will be happening, whether it's Kingdom Legacy Live with the family in Florida or me and Priscilla's event, Fervent, which will be 6 different events in May.
Yes, this is just announced too of different cities in the country as well. The Kingdom Legacy event, though, kind of explain, because that was your first big one, right? Of like the whole family kind of coming together. What did you guys learn from that? Obviously, it went well because we're doing another one this year. Are you tweaking anything? I mean, what can people kind of expect? What I love is people can go in person. So if they're in Florida or close by, it's worth the drive. But then people can join virtually as well.
Yes, because we just do one a year. Wrangling my family is like wrangling cats, as the old adage goes. So we do one a year for right now, and we get to come together and just encourage the audience as related to legacy and the importance of that. And we all have different dynamics, different personalities, and we talk about individually what it's meant to us and how we have pursued our individual callings and our legacy, given our individual personalities, and then corporately as a family to sit there with our dad and one of the greatest theologians and teachers alive, to sit there with him. And we kind of glean knowledge from him, but for everybody, because our mother's desire, she looked at me at one point and said, I want all of you together. I just want all of you to do something together. And so that started formulating in my mind the Kingdom Legacy Live idea. And this is it's for our mom, and her biggest concern was the faith of people in general. When she was sick and her body was failing her, she was like, what about their faith? I want to make sure they know that I'm holding on to my faith in spite. I mean, she was so concerned about legacy as not just related to our family. So this is not some self-indulgent event where our family shows up to talk about how great things are. That's not it. It is a corporate. We want to encourage each other about the importance of what Kingdom Legacy is and what it means.
Is this for people that are already believers? Would you encourage people, and certainly the Fervent event too, would you encourage people to bring people that are not believers yet?
Absolutely. Our desire obviously is we are not salt of the shaker. We are salt of the earth. That's one thing my dad used to always say to me. So we want to have an event to encourage believers, but also we want people to come in who need the salt. You know what I mean? So we love that. We want to make sure people don't feel excluded at all. So if you know somebody who's kind of open and not sure, but like, hey, what somebody, we all develop relationships with people who are kind of curious about your life and your faith. Bring them. We never skip an opportunity to share our faith on every level.
Yeah. Are there times when you do these events, and I'd imagine you're listening to Priscilla or you're listening to Dad, are there still nuggets that hit you differently of kind of spiritual wisdom when you're a part of these events too, where you're like, man, that's something new? I mean, I'd imagine hearing this so much as a kid. That's what I love about the Bible is that you can read the same verse, 50 times, and then all of a sudden it hits you different on a certain
Right.
day, and what you're like, man, how did I not see that coming? Do you have those moments?
Always, because my dad he enjoys studying. He enjoys finding new things to teach. He enjoys it. So I'm always listening to him and hearing some new something. And I can't believe that at this point, my whole life, I've heard him speak and I'm still hearing new things. That's kind of shocking to me. And then also with my sister, the same thing happens with Priscilla, but more with Priscilla, I'm always like, oh my gosh, growing up, you used to get in so much trouble for talking too much. Now it's all like Romans 8:28 is real. You know what I mean? Like he worked it all together for good. No, but same thing with Priscilla. She's dynamic, has always been since we were a kid. If she was telling a story when she was a kid, it was just everybody was drawn in because of how she was talking, 10 years old. So conceptually, yes, I hear things from her all the time, but more so I look at my sister and think about us as kids, and I'm like, wow, this is so wild that this
God
is.
had it all. He knew what he was doing
Yeah.
with your family. I mean, it is pretty amazing to see how God has used each of you. And by the way, other siblings are going to be
Yes,
there as well.
Priscilla and Jonathan
And
also.
they're so individually gifted. And I love how God does that in a
Yeah.
family.
Yeah, we really, really love getting to do this together, and we want to obviously encourage the audience. We want you to leave like, wow, that was good for my soul.
Hey, I have to ask you before we leave, because I cover a lot of the movies and the entertainment side of
Mhm.
things. Priscilla, obviously, in The Forge coming out
Yes.
this summer. And it got me thinking, like, have you acted much? Have you ever thought about going into that? I feel like you could do it, but
Yeah, I have actually. I've done like 4 or 5 movies. They've been general market. I did a couple movies for BET, the network BET, and so yeah, I would actually love to do it more. I ended up
I
doing a
was
lot.
going to say, did you enjoy it? I
Yeah,
mean,
I loved it. I loved it. I really enjoyed it a lot. I ended up doing the music for the films too, so I've been kind of in the production
yeah.
side of things quite a bit. But yes,
I'm
we're
so excited about just the space of where Christian entertainment and movies and TV shows is. And I'm like, I need more Anthony Evans. And I feel like you could be right along with that. So,
Thank you very much. We're working on it.
all right. Well, thank you for spending some time with me. It's been a real treat again to listen to the new music. I know people are going to love it. People are going to be so recharged when they go to these events as well. I just know it every time I go to one. There's always these nuggets that you hear, and then literally they stay with you for years to
Yeah.
come. So thankful for your family. Where can people stay up to date with your music, and then obviously everything going on with the family and all the different events?
Yeah, on any social platform, it's at Anthony Evans Jr. That's at Anthony Evans Jr. And with the events, you can go to kingdomlegacy.com, and for Fervent, you can go to ferventtheevent.com. So at any of those places, though, there'll be links to the other places, so you don't have to remember all.
Well, enjoy this busy season, and we pray that God just blesses your travel and these events, and like we mentioned before, that maybe new people come to be believers as well.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Hello, this is Dr. Tony Evans, and I would love for you to join me along with my children, and that includes author, speaker, actress Priscilla Shirer, worship leader and songwriter Anthony Evans, and authors Crystal Evans-Hurst and Jonathan Evans for Kingdom Legacy Live. This one-of-a-kind conference will be a wonderful opportunity for you, your family, and your friends to gather with other believers for powerful, heartfelt worship, inspirational conversations, strategic prayer, and the unforgettable teaching of God's Word. Join me, Priscilla Shirer, Anthony Evans, Crystal Evans-Hurst, and Jonathan Evans at Kingdom Legacy Live, the conference. This unforgettable conference will be held on Saturday, April 6th at Victory Church in Lakeland, Florida, as well as online.
All right, now to that film Cabrini I was telling you about earlier. It's coming to theaters March 8th. This is the latest film by Angel Studios and follows the success of Sound of Freedom and The Shift. Before I chat with actor David Morse, who stars in the film, and by the way, you may recognize him from the blockbuster The Green Mile or the hit TV series House, in which he received an Emmy nomination. Let's take a quick look at this film.
I was told that you were rejected by 3 different orders, each time for weakness of constitution.
Your Holiness, we can serve our weakness or we can serve our purpose, not both.
My sisters, if we are to build an empire of hope, it seems we must first conquer New York.
Filthy Dagos. They just keep coming.
Mio papà si è suicidato e mia mamma è morta di tifo.
In America, the greatest nation on earth, rats have it better than the children of 5 points.
It's not safe. Not for you. Be careful, or this place will eat you alive.
Doctors tell me 5 years.
5 would be a miracle.
In that case, I should get to work. I need an orphanage with more room, where my children can be children.
I'd like you to keep your crime and your filth out of this neighborhood.
The mayor will find a way to get you out.
You have an election coming up, do you not?
I believe I'm being threatened by a nun.
You have swatted the hornet's nest.
Get out, Dagos! Go!
I want the best hospital for your people and for mine. We have to show America we are all people of dignity.
This project is overly ambitious, perhaps unrealistic.
We are bold, or we die.
This is how I learned to live in America.
Cabrini, you would have made an excellent man.
Well, David, what a treat to get some time with you.
Well, it's a treat to be here with you. Thank you for having me.
So, your resume all over the board between Broadway, movies, and TV shows. My goodness, tell me about what attracted you to this role and to this movie, because it's kind of hard to find anything really similar. This seems like in a vein, kind of all on its own.
Well, it's truly all on its own. First of all, it's an independent movie, and the scale of it is phenomenal. It's a kind of movie that studios really don't do anymore. And Eustace Wolfington, who really was the inspiration behind putting this together, he just said if he was going to do it, he's going to do this right. And to do it right, you had to spend some money. And you'll see from the trailer, from the movie, it's spectacular. So I knew when I was sent the script, it was going to be something special. And just the woman herself, Cabrini, is amazing. Mother Cabrini. Her story is phenomenal.
Had you heard of her story before, or was it brand new when you looked at the script?
Yeah, no, I'd not heard it, and I think most people don't really know it. We've heard of the institutions, we've heard of Cabrini University, or whatever it is. She in her time she created 64 major institutions all around the world. The humble nun who came, the 1800s, the Pope sent her to this. Horrible, probably the worst neighborhood in the United States, in the 5 Point sections of New York. And he sent her there with her little band of sisters, and they went on to create, one of the greatest institutions in the world, all women. So it's really pretty inspiring.
What's so fascinating to me about stories like these, and when I think they can encourage us, no matter what age or generation we're watching them, because she's one of those that push the norms of saying, what the laws were at the time or what the rules were at the time. And there's just lessons to learn in that for everyday life today. I would imagine you would agree with that.
I would totally agree with that. One of the things that she would not take no for an answer, basically. And she was a woman very much in a man's world. And a man's, at that time in the 1800s, she was up against Tammany Hall. She was up against the institutions of the Catholic Church. My character, Archbishop Corrigan, who one of the things I liked about doing him is he had his own journey, his going from he himself having to deal with all that corruption, trying to get his work done, and then this nun is sent into his life who's going to upend everything. And he's just trying to protect his own world because he knows what it's like having to deal with it. And this woman is coming into it. And eventually in real life, they became good friends. And he really helped her with her work. But what you see here is that struggle between them until, he has to come face to face with the fact he has lost touch with being a shepherd in the world and more being a politician. And thanks to her, he kind of turns that around and recognizes his work as a shepherd and helps her do her good work.
Man, isn't that a theme that we can take with us today? I think it's so easy to get caught up in what we're supposed to be doing and what we think in tradition, right? I mean, that's something we can definitely learn from today.
Yeah, and we're often being told, um, how we should be behaving, and our heart and our faith have got to lead us.
Yeah. We were talking before we got started about how we're both parents. How is it kind of being a father and stepping into this role and hearing this story? And it's one of those movies when you know that you're going to see kids suffering. I think maybe at the first glance you go, "Oh man, that might be too sad or depressing to go and watch." But I know there's so much hope in it as well. But talk about being a dad and just hearing more about the story and what she did for the most vulnerable, the children.
Well, that's what breaks your heart as a parent, to see how these kids and they were truly living this way. They were living in the sewers, and there was a famous article written in the New York Times, which she brought about this article. She dragged the reporter down into the sewers so she could see how these abandoned children were living it down there. They were either abandoned or their parents had died, and they were really surviving on their own down there. Um, and she went down the sewers and she started an orphanage in that 5 Point section of New York, and then eventually uptown in New York. Uh, and it's inspiring, it's just the love that she had for the kids. Um, and it's not different from the love we have for our own children. But she went down there and made something great happen out of it.
When you look back at working on this project and this film, what do you think you'll remember most about this particular one? Again, your career has been so long and just been in really a lot of cool things. But what is it about this particular chapter in your life that you think that will take with you? That you'll look back on these years that you were part of this.
Yeah, I think almost all the time it's the people that you work with. Christiana Delano, she's an Italian actress who plays Mother Cabrini. She's spectacular. She's a spectacular human being, spectacular actress. Alejandro, who directed it, he had asked me to do a couple of films before this, which I couldn't do. And just his growth as a director, you really see it in this. It is so ambitious, and what he pulls off is just beautiful. Uh, and I got to finally work with John Lithgow, and we've known about each other forever, and we finally got to actually do a little bit together. And it was great after all these years to be able to do that.
Is this your first project together?
It really is. I did St. Elsewhere, a long time ago in the '80s. And at that time, he had written a screenplay for a movie, and he asked me if I would, not me personally, but through our representatives, if I would do a reading of it and read the role he would have done in it. And I wound up not being able to do it because of work. It was so disappointing. And it, that was the closest I ever got to being with him. And finally, he walks into a trailer on this thing, and he said, "So you're the guy who's been stealing all my roles."
To be honest, that was my thought, though. I'm like, y'all are so similar that I can imagine you probably competed for some of the, or at least auditioned for some of the same roles.
Yeah, I actually turned down a role in Dexter a long time ago, which he did, and he won an Emmy Award for it. I thought, "Oh, darn it. Why did you make that?"
That's
Yeah,
funny. Well,
yeah.
as we close up here, what is that main message? Invite people out to the theater to go and watch this, and what do you hope they take away when they leave the theater?
Well, first of all, they're just gonna, you know, fall in love with this woman, Mother Cabrini. And the thing that truly, I've been to screenings, and when people leave it, not only they're inspired and just beautiful movie, you just go out of there feeling like, what can I do? What can I do in my life that I haven't done? Um, and that's important.
What more could you want out of a movie? Well,
Really.
David, again, thank you so much for your time. I know how busy you are these days, but it's been a lot of fun to chat with you today, and we appreciate your time.
Well, I appreciate you asking me to do this.
So you let a woman push you around. An Italian woman. Is that how you run your church? I've got the whole Upper West Side climbing down my throat. They look out their window, and what do they see? A wave of brown-skin filth parading up their street with a nun as their Pied Piper. But don't be mistaken. This is not about a neighborhood. This is about New York. This is about the kind of New York we want. About our New York. A beacon of prosperity. Somewhere, somehow, a line must be drawn.
Well, I am a shepherd, Mr. Mayor. And perhaps inconveniently, the Italians are among my flock.
And the people of Crown Heights and Corcoran's Roost, are they not among your flock? Wouldn't it be a shame if a few permits got between all those good people and the new churches they deserve? And all those Irish kids on their city grants, my grants. Are we going to let some puffed up Dago nun get in the way of all that? A shepherd like you, a good shepherd, he knows where his sheep belong.
Again, Cabrini is in theaters beginning March 8th, International Women's Day. For ticket info, just go to angel.com. I hope you enjoyed tonight's show. Again, I'm Carley Boyette, and I look forward to seeing you next week right here on your Christian television network.